Rick decides to use dry sand, abundant in Egypt's arid climate. With the help of his wife and fellow sculptor Laura, Rick begins planning a new kind of sandbox.
Okay. Wow, look at it go.
Okay,
this is great sand you got.
This is dry sand, that's important. The sand pit is set up so nobody ever has to go inside. It's perfectly safe.
Is that the main advantage between this method and doing it the way Roger did it, where he was inside the box digging?
Well, that way nobody's going to get hurt.
Well, I didn't get hurt. So it all depends on the flow. You use the flow instead of diggers.
With dry sand, the sand will flow. With wet sand, we go home.
The main force at work in the sandpit is gravity. The obelisk sinks under its own weight. But how is it steered into the turning groove? Rick will try to control the stone with several brake ropes. In addition, the back wall of the box is a series of steps, carefully aligned with the turning groove. After perfecting his method with scale models, Rick is about to get his turn with a 36-foot obelisk.
Well, Roger, we have a ramp. We have a 25-ton obelisk sitting on top.
Maybe 30 tons?
Maybe 30 tons.
I doubt it.
We have a sandbox. The sandbox is filled to the top with sand. If you come up here, you can see this opening. That's our portal. The sand will flow right out of the portal. Right now, it's choked off. What we're going to do is we're going to take that out by hand with hose and pull all the sand out, and as we do that, the obelisk will rotate around and fall right into the center of the turning groove.
All the details of Rick's model have been scaled up for the 25-ton stone, including 3 gigantic ropes that run the length of the obelisk and are secured to 2 large brake logs.
1 inch, okay, so we pick it up from here.
Assisting Rick are friends from the Timber Framers Guild, a group dedicated to traditional building techniques. With everything in place, the team is ready to begin.
Okay,
You ready?
let's point this thing to the sky.
All right, we're getting movement over here.
There you go, there you go. Now you see this is...
They'll hold, we'll catch up.
Yeah, they're holding. Yeah, we
Right on the
Should get movement soon, they say.
Yeah,
There it comes.
we're getting moving.
There you go.
At first, the movement of the obelisk is almost imperceptible.
There we go.
But slowly, the point of the stone begins to rise.
Whoa, there we go.
Ellen.
What we're doing here today feels very Egyptian to me. The ramp, the box looks very archaic. The colossal ropes, the big logs, the sand. It's big and it's massive, but it's using very simple forces. Simply the force of flowing sand. They had no problems throwing thousands of people at the job. This is the approach the Egyptians would have taken.
The approach takes time. After half a day of digging, the obelisk has only rotated a third of the way toward the turning groove. As the hours pass and the obelisk sinks deeper into the pit, Rick's method is truly put to the test when more and more pressure falls on the brake ropes.
How much of the rope stretched so far?
Well, the ropes have stretched around 7 to 8 inches.
Wow, really?
Yeah, and we're still well within the safety range.
Rick's team predicted a certain amount of stretch in the ropes. But if their estimates are wrong, the obelisk could overshoot the turning groove. Tension mounts as the stone approaches the critical angle of 75 degrees. With the obelisk nearing the back of the sandpit, Rick can't resist the temptation to jump in and dig for himself.
Okay. Feel the pedestal yet?
Gauge pull.
72 degrees.
Gauge pull. Gauge pull.
The obelisk is now leaning against the wall of the sandpit and is directly in line with the turning groove.
Like a turning groove.
That's the turning groove. Right here. See the curvature?
Yeah, there it is.
You can see if I hold this tape as a straight edge, you can see where the obelisk is going to come right down inside the turning groove.
Wow, that's a bullseye. Direct hit.
We're just about 9.5 inches from the top of the pedestal stone.
That looks pretty good.
Now it's a matter of gradually releasing the brake ropes.
Whoa, you gotta, you gotta.
And removing the last bits of sand. For 3 more hours, the work goes on. Finally, in the dark of night and without a sound, the 25-ton obelisk nestles into its groove.
We are home.
When the sun returns and the sandbox is removed, Rick can appreciate how far he's come.
You can see we have the obelisk in the turning groove. It's at 75 degrees. Most of the hard work's done. But remaining is a task that could be daunting, and that is we have to now pull the obelisk that last 15 degrees into the 90-degree position.
Those of you who have been trained in pulling, please come this way and report right here.
Well, the worst thing that could happen is that we lose control in the pull and the obelisk comes crashing down. This is a very tense moment.
If you would go ahead and take the ropes and pull the slack out of them.
Leading the pullers is Rick's colleague, engineer Greg Mullen. Greg's job is to scare the undisciplined volunteers into pulling slowly and gently.
You can't be talking.
Y'all notice I'm married. You notice what's missing on my hands? Go ahead and take your rings off. If one of the ropes flies, it can catch your ring and it'll pull the meat off your finger. All right, go ahead and take up the slack. Take it slow, let's get it light. Keep pulling. Keep pulling.
If they pull too hard, the fragile obelisk could topple over and crash to the ground.
Gently.
To prevent this kind of disaster, Rick's team is once again using brake ropes. While the gang below pulls the obelisks toward vertical, the brake crew holds it back, letting the ropes out slowly so the obelisk can't work up any momentum.
The brake lines have got it. Lower it. Take a little more. More.
We're at 89.
What do we got?
89 degrees.
Okay.
We have touchdown.
We're good.
We have a freestanding obelisk.
Your inspiration, Roger.
This is the way the Egyptians did it. This is the way we did it. We were mimicking the Egyptians. It's a very perfect moment.
The Egyptians had to do it with as much control and just as slowly because they not only had months and months of hieroglyphs that had been cut, people may have died, a lot was invested, and they would have had just as much control. I'm glad we got it done.